Now let's return to our main story, that horrifying report from Amnesty International about mass executions in a secret Syrian prison. The human rights group catalogued a huge amount of witness accounts. Let me just give you a flavour of some of what they actually documented, because a former detainee, Samir, said the beatings was so intense it was as if you had a nail and you were trying again and again to beat it into a rock. It was impossible, he said, but they just kept going. A former judge who saw the hanging said they kept them hanging here for 10 to 15 minutes. Some didn't die because they are light. And a former military officer detained at the prison added, if you put your ears to the floor, you could hear the sound of kind of gurgling. This would last around 10 minutes. We were sleeping on top of the sound of people choking to death. This was normal for me back then. Well, let's talk about this for the next few minutes. Here in the studio with me is Philip Luther from Amnesty International, and also joining me, Jalal Mando, a Syrian now living in Germany who spent most of his sentence in that prison in Syria. Thanks both of you for being here with us on the programme. Could I start with you, first of all? Just describe to me, I know it is difficult, but what are the words that you find to describe what it was like in that prison?
It's the question for me, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I was just, when I started the revolution, I never thought it would be happen for me, like to go to prison because I make photographer. But when I was inside the prison, it's the most horrible thing you can imagine. It's more than the hell, because nobody can imagine, like, if you can eat just only one olive, and you can eat small bread, and also you can go to toilet on time, and you can't see the sun, and you don't know where you are, like just you don't know, nobody tell you where you are, and you feel you are not a human anymore. They stole everything from you. They stole your humanity, and this you feel like to be or not to be, because you must fight to live, to sleep more 2 minutes, because we sleep just 3 hours in so
and
much.
You say you had to fight to live. I mean, the accounts of torture, beatings, electrocutions, rape are utterly horrific in this report. Did you see that? Did you personally experience that? The beatings, the torture?
Of course. I can show you first of all my hand here, if you can see it. And this, and I have electricity here, and I have somewhere I can't show you now, but of course I leave the torture, the hanging from the hand. It's the most horrible thing. Like the hanging from the left hand, and you can't touch the floor with your hand, only with your hand, and also the electricity, and also like I saw it, women and children. They beat them in so most horrible way, and you don't know what they do. Like when they start to beat me, first of all, they don't know who I am. They just beat me because they beat me, random, chaos. And you don't feel anymore you are human. You feel you are nothing. And nobody can know what will happen. I stayed there for 2 years in the military prison. And in first 1 year, nobody asked me who you are, what you did. Like just you beat you, they move you from prison to the other, from Homs to Damascus, because I'm from Homs. And it
is absolutely unimaginable what you're describing. Let me bring in Philip for a moment. I mean, just listening to that, it is beyond horrific, but the scale of this is something else as well.
Absolutely. We've just been hearing a really harrowing account of the dehumanizing effect of torture and inhuman conditions. Now, what we've been describing are actually two phenomena. One is that torture and inhuman conditions that have actually led to thousands. We estimated in a report last year 17,000 detainees killed inside Syrian prisons. What we're talking about as well in this report is an orchestrated campaign of mass hangings carried out in secret, up to 13,000 killed in that way.
And just tell me a little more briefly about how you collated the evidence, because it wasn't just from prisoners, from survivors, was it?
No, that's correct. I mean, we did talk to 31 former detainees in Sadnaya prison, but also, and this is crucial, former prison guards, former prison officials, judges who saw firsthand for themselves the judicial system that was leading to mass hangings. I say judicial system, but actually what people were subjected to were not trials. We sometimes talk about unfair trials, sham trials. They were not trials. They were 1 or 2 minute procedures, death registration procedures, that then led to them being hanged.
Let me bring Jalal back in. And Jalal, just in terms of the room you were living in, I think I'm told you were in a room with 400 or so people. We were hearing there in this report and from Philip about the mass executions every week. Did you see people week by week, day by day, just simply disappearing, not coming back?
Of course, like you have, I was in the military prison. It was the number 243, and in this one, you have every day in the evening. You come, you don't have your name, you have number, and they call 10 number, and they go to the die. And we are sure because I can tell you about my Saloon prison. They bring people there, and nobody comes back. And for me, like every day in our room, like every day we have between 5 or 6 people, they die from illness, from the torture. It's something else. But I am sure, I remember in 2014 when I was there, in between March and May, it was the most horrible thing because every day it was 20. They call 20 people and nobody knows what's happening for these people.
And mentally, how did you survive it when you didn't actually know if you'd get to the next day?
The hope. I don't know, but you must have always hope. I always hope to go back to my family, and I believe in this. In my dream also to be the good director in the film director, and I believe in this because if you will lose the hope, you will die because we don't have anything. We just have the hope to stay alive, to go back to see the family, the friend, and to continue. And I am here now. And I can tell you just number. It's just only in my room with me, 400 people. We stay alive just 9, and 5 of them who stay alive, they are now in civil prison in Damascus.
So 9 out of those 400 in your room. Philip, just briefly on this point, how did you extrapolate, get to this number? And possibly more important, this was a 4-year period. Do you have any evidence? Do you still suspect this is still going on?
We do suspect it's still going on. In terms of the numbers, we talked to detainees and prison guards and prison officials who were in Sadnaya prison in different phases over the last 5 years. And so on the basis of what they told us, the numbers of those who were being taken out of their cells and led to execution on a weekly basis, sometimes twice weekly, we then, and the calculations are set out in the report, came to our estimate. It is only an estimate, but nonetheless it's a gruesome estimate.
President Assad gave an interview today and he's quoted as saying that he's not worried about The Hague or any other international tribunal. He said it's all about defending the country. We don't care about tribunals, he said. I mean, they deny that this is going on. There is going to be no comeback, is there, for the perpetrators?
We hope that is not the case. And if you look back over the last few years, you may well come to the conclusion, the same one that Assad has come to, that actually there will be no accountability. However, and where the UN Security Council has failed to refer the situation in Syria to the International Criminal Court, another body of the United Nations, the General Assembly, at the end of last year gave us just a little glimpse of hope by setting up a mechanism for accountability.
Sure.
One
But
day...
that's been utterly dismissed by Assad. It's the flimsiest of hope, isn't it? You only have to look at what Boris Johnson said in the British Parliament only last month. He said we have to be realistic about the way the landscape has changed. He's talking about Russia, and maybe we have to think afresh at how we look at this. In a sense, however shocking, and he was talking about being shocked about these figures today, there is going to be no accountability. There's no way to navigate it.
The question is how long it will take. I don't think it's about when, I don't think it's about if, I think it's about how long it will take. I mean, if you look at other conflicts, other crimes against humanity that have taken place in other arenas around the world, at some point, some people end up in front of the dock, in the dock rather, facing justice.
Jalal, a final quick word with you, if I could. Do you think ever we will see justice brought against the people who perpetrated these things against you?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Do you think the people that did those things to you will ever be brought to justice? Very briefly.
I hope so, but I hope it will be not long time. But because now the people, they talk about Daesh, ICS, and they forget how people they die every day, because of the army of the Syrian Bashar al-Assad regime, of the government, and nobody. I hope they will judge them, but at least I hope the people who inside now, they will find solution for these people to get out. This is the most important thing for me. I let 10,000 to 100,000 people there, and I don't know what happened for these people.
Well, Jalal Mando, thank you so much for taking time to speak to us here on the programme. Philip Luther here in the studio, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us and joining us on today's programme.